Well, yet again, another emergency press conference. It just feels like every week we have this in Seattle sports. Seahawks, Huskies, this time the athletic director position. The good news is this is a really, really dope hoodie. So I'll start with the good news. Simply Seattle, now sponsoring the show. Their gear is unbelievable. So this is their newest stuff. It's comfortable, it's hip. Even down here in the desert at our sister station, a lot of compliments. So Simply Seattle, their gear is just off the charts. That's the good news. Bad news was the breaking news this morning on our show, and I call it bad because it's just constant turnover. University of Washington is on their fourth football coach in 5 years. Will be on their third AD in less than a calendar year. And there's just no way you're going to convince me in college athletics that moves so fast that this kind of instability is a good thing. So what do you got to do? Troy Dannen was unfortunately for his family not a fit. His family just was not going to be a fit up in Seattle, and his dream job in the Midwest at Nebraska opened up because Trev Alberts left and Troy Dannen moves on. His family moves on. It was just unfortunately not going to be a fit, and maybe, frankly, a blessing in disguise, because if family's not happy and they can't find a place to live and it's not great, then you know what? Move on, find a place in Lincoln, Nebraska, and go do your thing there. I think their lesson here is threefold for Washington with this job. I would prioritize three things when I'm making my next hire, and that would be the president and the board of regents at the University of Washington for this position. Number one, first and foremost, is they've got to have skin in the game. They've got to have purple and gold. They've got to have blood that courses through their body and a background in our market, and in particular at this institution where it matters. And you've got a number of people. Erin O'Connell is the interim AD. She was at SPU. She's been in Seattle. She's been in Washington. She checks that box. Shannon Kelly checks that box. Damon Huard checks that box. I think that's first and foremost. After all this change and all this turmoil, you better have somebody with blood in the program, a background in Seattle that loves it, that calls it home, and wants to be there. Number two, you've got to find a fundraiser. You know, this is about, fundraising and raising funds. You're going to be on a half share in the Big Ten, and you've got to close that gap. And that background in fundraising is critically important. And then I think probably third is just relationships in hiring your next basketball coach, managing it. Ultimately, you're the athletic director, and you manage relationships and connections with people. With Heather Tarr, your softball coach. With Leslie Tuiasosopo, your volleyball coach. With your new men's basketball coach. With Tiffany, your women's basketball coach. And ultimately with Jed Fish, who's got a 7-year, $50 million contract. You better have connective tissue with them. So those would be my priorities. You got people in-house. I think this time you get it right, and you get somebody with some purple and gold blood flowing through their body.